I want to talk about Terran counters to the Zealot. So the Marine is not good. The stats of the Marine are just very weak compared to the Zealot. A Marine dies in 3 Zealot attacks, with Stim even in 2 Zealot attacks, while the Marine needs like 30 hits to kill 1 Zealot. So this is very bad. And of course the Marine is a ranged unit, so in theory the Marine can kite a little bit, but the Marine doesn't have the speed it takes, because the Marine has the same speed as a Zealot, and a Stim Marine has the same speed as a Zealot with speed, so it's not even good at kiting, so I put the Marine into C tier. Then we have the Fire Bat, and the Fire Bat is much better than the Marine. So the Fire Bat has a good damage of 16, and it's concussive damage. So this means that the Fire Bat does 100% versus the Zealot, because Zealot is small, and the Fire Bat also has a nice splash damage. So this means that in larger battles, the Fire Bat gets very strong versus the Zealot. I mean, 1 Fire Bat versus 1 Zealot, the splash damage doesn't do anything. But if you have like 10 versus 10, then the splash damage gets really powerful versus the Zealot. However, the Fire Bat also doesn't have a lot of HP. It dies in 3 Zealot hits after stimming. So it's much better than the Marine, but because it still dies easily, I'm not going to put it in S tier, but I think it is in A tier. Then we have the Vulture, and the Vulture is pretty good. So number 1, the Vulture is even cheaper than a Zealot, only 75 minerals. Number 2, the Vulture has a good attack of 20 damage, and it is concussive damage. So it also deals 100% damage against the Zealot. This is good. Also, the Vulture is always faster than the Zealot. So even a Vulture without speed upgrade is faster than a Zealot with speed upgrade. So the Vulture is very good at kiting Zealots. And of course, you have 3 spider mines with each Vulture. And the spider mines, they have a good splash radius. They deal a lot of damage. So it is very good versus the Zealot. And also the Zealot is of course a melee unit, so the Zealot cannot attack the spider mines without being attacked. However, the spider mine deals explosive damage, so it doesn't deal full damage to the Zealot, only 50%, but still, because you get 3 mines with every Vulture, 3 mines are more than enough to kill a Zealot or even a group of Zealot, so I think the Vulture is an S tier counter. Then we have the subscribe button as always, so if you like the video, subscribe and hit the like button. Then the tank. The tank is not really good against the Zealot, so of course, number 1, the tank has a very good range, so the tank is always going to get 1 or 2 free hits against the Zealot. That's pretty good. Also, the tank has splash damage, which is okay versus the Zealot, because the Zealot is like a small grouping unit. On the other hand, the tank damage is explosive, so this means it deals only 50% against the Zealot. And this again means that the Zealot is very tanky against the tank. So the Zealot, I think the Zealot usually dies in 4 hits. This may depend on upgrades, but usually it's 4 hits from the tank. So for how cheap the Zealot is, it can really take a lot of tank hits. And the tank has a minimum range of 2. So once you close the distance to melee range to the tank cannot attack the Zealot. And of course, a couple of tanks are going to cause a lot of friendly fire as the Zealot close the distance to the tank. So the tank is not completely useless, but it's really bad versus the Zealot. I put it into D tier. The Goliath is also not good. I mean, the Goliath just behaves like a Marine against the Zealot. It has a ranged attack, but not really high damage. The Goliath also doesn't have a lot of HP. So I mean, the Goliath costs 50 gas more than a Zealot, but it only has 125 HP. It's also quite slow, quite clunky. So the Goliath, yeah, I think it behaves just like a Marine. So I'm going to put it in the same tier as the Marine, the C tier. Then we have the Wraith. And the Wraith is of course usable. I mean, it is a flying unit with an anti-ground attack, so technically it is of course a counter to the Zealot, but the Wraith has very low damage. So the Wraith, it costs as much as 2.5 Zealots, but it is going to take like 20 hits or so to kill a Zealot. I think the anti-ground damage is 8 from the Wraith. So yes, of course, it can attack the Zealot without being attacked back, but the damage is so low, it's really going to take a while to kill a Zealot. So I'm just going to put it into B tier. The Valkyrie is easy. It doesn't have an anti-ground attack, useless, D tier. The Battlecruiser, it's again a flying unit. It can attack the Zealot. But I mean, it's so expensive. I think a battlecruiser costs 700 resources, so you get 7 Zealots for the price. So how much does it take to kill 7 Zealots with a battlecruiser? I think it takes forever. It's not good. I put it into C tier. The Ghost is generally like a weak unit. It's rarely ever used. I mean, the Ghost has a concussive attack, so at least it deals 100 damage to the Zealot. But the other abilities are also useless. I mean, the lockdown only works on mechanical units. The nuke is Zealot is way too fast to get hit by a nuke, so I put it into C tier. The Medic is not a direct counter to the Zealot, but of course the Zealot really helps your Marine and especially your fire bats. So I think a combination of fire bat and Medic can be really good versus Zealot. So it's not a direct counter, but it helps your fire bats and Marines. It's a B tier. The Vessel also is not really good. If we look at the abilities of the Vessel, you can, for example, use the EMP to take off the shields of a group of Zealots, but the Zealot only has 60 shield, so it's not really a valuable target for the EMP. The Irradiate is also usable on the Zealot because the Zealot is biological, so it will damage the Zealot. But again, if you want to use the Irradiate, there are much better targets, like let's say High Templar or something. So it is usable versus the Zealot, but it's not really efficient. It's a unit that should be used against more high value targets, and the Zealot is not really high value because it's so cheap. So I think I'm going to put it into C tier, B tier, I mean. And the bunker is really good, can be really good, especially if you fill it with fire bats, because putting fire bats in a bunker usually is not a good idea because they have so short range. They can't hit almost anything when they're inside a bunker. But the Zealot, of course, is a melee unit. And as I mentioned, the fire bat has good damage and splash attack. So I think if you make a bunker and if you put fire bats in the bunker, I think the bunker will be nearly unbreakable for the Zealot. So I think the bunker should be an S tier counter to the Zealot. And the turret, of course, is easy. Doesn't have no ground attack. It's a D tier. Alright, dudes, thanks for watching.